everybody, welcome to our channel once again. আজি আমি footprints without feet নামৰ এটা সুন্দৰ story আমি discuss কৰিম. Footprints without feet, actually it is an excerpt from The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. H.G. Wellsৰ The Invisible Man নামৰ famous এখন novel আছে 1897 ত এখন publish হৈছিল. তাৰ পৰা এই Footprints without feet এই অংশটো আমাৰ কাৰণে লৈ অনা হৈছে. এই ষ্টৰিটো হৈছে গ্ৰিফিন নামৰ এজন ব্ৰিলিয়েণ্ট চাইণ্টিষ্টৰ. গ্ৰিফিনে বহুদিন বিভিন্ন এক্সপেৰিমেণ্ট কৰি পেলাই এটা তেওঁ ইনভিজিবিলিটিৰ মেথড তেওঁ ডিস্কভাৰ কৰিলে, ইনভেণ্ট কৰিলে. ইনভিজিবিলিটিৰ এটা তেওঁ মেথড উলিয়ালে আৰু এটা ঔষধ তেওঁ উলিয়ালে আৰু সেইটো তেওঁ নিজৰ ওপৰতে সি tested on his own body. He swallowed the drug and he became invisible. So story to hoise Griffin number scientist janor keneke hoise aho sao hami. Story to ki boli koa hoise at the beginning we find two boys. They were very startled, they were very shocked to see footprints in the middle of London streets, and those were footprints of bare feet. Hudapurir footprints asil, and they were very surprised. They wondered how footprints of barefooted people, barefooted man came into appearance there. What was a barefooted man doing there in the middle of London? And they were more baffled, they were more bewildered when they saw that some more footprints began to appear, and surprisingly the feet or the man didn't come into appearance. They didn't see. তেওঁলোকে নেদেখিলে কোনো মানুহ নেদেখাকে কি হল, তেওঁলোকে দেখিছে যে footprints বনি গৈ আছে, and one after one footprints began to appear, and they were following those footprints out of surprise, out of astonishment. তেওঁলোকে গম পোৱা নাই কেনেকৈ হৈছে. So they were very much bewildered at that time. Now আমাক ষ্টৰিটোৰ যিজন ৰাইটাৰ H.G. Wells এতিয়া আমাক কৈছে যে এই description, the explanation of appearance of footprints without feet was simple. There was a simple kahini. সহজতে explain কৰিব পাৰি. How did those footprints appear? Because the scientist named Griffin had invented a formula to make human body invisible. অদৃশ্য কৰিবৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ formula উলিয়াইছে, and he had already swallowed those drugs, and therefore those footprints appeared. Now Griffin was a very bad-tempered person. He was easily angered. After swallowing the drug, he became invisible, but his clothes still remained visible. এতিয়া তেওঁৰ কাপোৰবিলাক visible হৈ আছে. Now he was not on good terms with his landlord. He lived on rental. তেওঁ ৰেণ্টেলত বাস কৰিছিল, ভাড়া ঘৰ তেওঁ আছিল, কিন্তু তেওঁৰ যিজন landlord, ঘৰৰ মালিক, তেওঁৰ লগত তেওঁৰ ভাল সম্পৰ্ক নাছিল. Now the landlord tried to eject him because he didn't like Griffin for some reasons. It may be for his temper, for his bad temper or bad behavior, etc. Now, since the landlord tried to throw out Griffin from the house, therefore, out of anger, in order to take revenge, Griffin set fire to the rented house. ঘৰটোত তেওঁ কি কৰিলে, জুই লগাই দিলে, in order to take revenge on his landlord. And then, in order to escape without being seen by anybody, কোনো যাতে নেদেখে তেনেকে পলাবৰ কাৰণে, he did one thing. He took off all his clothes. তেওঁ সম্পূৰ্ণ কাপোৰ খুলি দিলে. He became naked, and at the same time he became completely invisible. অদৃশ্য হৈ পৰিল কাৰণ he had already swallowed the drug that he had invented. which had the capacity to make people invisible. মানুহক অদৃশ্য কৰিব পৰা যিটো কেপাচিটি থকা যিটো ঔষধ সেইটো তেওঁ অলৰেডি খাই দিছে আৰু এতিয়া তেওঁ নিজৰ কাপোৰ খুলি দিলে and now he became a homeless person, a naked person, a person who had no money or nothing else. যাৰ একো নাই, কোনো ঘৰ নাই, he had nowhere to stay, থাকিবলৈ একো নাই. So he began to wander about the streets of London. Londonৰ ৰাস্তাবিলাকত তেওঁ ঘূৰি ফুৰিবলৈ আৰম্ভ কৰিলে. But Griffin had chosen a bad time of the year to become invisible, to roam about the streets of London in a naked way. মানে কাপোৰ কানি নোহোৱাকে লণ্ডনত ঘূৰি ফুৰাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ আচলতে বেয়া টাইমহে চুজ কৰিল, because it was mid winter. কাৰণ উইণ্টাৰৰ মিড টাইম আছিলে, and London, we know that it's a very cold place, and in mid-winter we can imagine how much cold the weather could be. কিমান ঠাণ্ডা হ'ব পাৰে. Therefore, Griffin found difficulty. Griffin felt very cold. He thought, he felt that it was impossible for him to stay outdoors in a naked way. অদৃশ্য মানে নেকেড হৈ থাকিয়া বা কাপোৰ পিন্ধিলেতো দৃশ্যমান হৈ যাব. So naked হৈ থকাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁৰ কাৰণে এটা যথেষ্ট অসুবিধা হৈ পৰিল, because it was terribly cold at that time. Now, Griffin found a big London store. A ডাঙৰ মানে এখন দোকান তেওঁ দেখিলে, যেনে শ্বপিং মলৰ নিচিনা এখন দোকান তেওঁ দেখিলে, and শ্বপিং মলৰ নিচিনা এখন দোকান দেখিলে, and he took chances and he entered the big London store. No one could see him because he was completely invisible. He was completely naked at that time. And now he waited there until the workers of the store, of the stall went out. And when the big London store was closed, he searched for some clothes. He wore clothes. He found an overcoat, a pair of shoes, and a big hat he wore. And then he went to the restaurant associated or attached with that London store, and he had a good meal there without any expense. And after that, he wanted to rest. He was exhausted at the time. Therefore, he slept on a pile of quilts. Leopard dome tate hui thakile. Now, the night passed on. Ratito par hoi gol. Aru Griffin didn't wake up in time. Homoy mote teo har napale. When he woke up, already the workers of that store began to arrive. And two workers were going to that side where Griffin was asleep. When Griffin woke up, he saw those two people, and he thought that they had already spotted him, and so he ran off. And when he began to run, those two persons or the other workers of the London store also began to chase him. And finally, in order to escape from them, he again took off his clothes. And now he became invisible. And in this way, he escaped from them, but he again became naked, and he found difficulty, he found great problem in that cold weather. So again he became invisible, naked, without any penny, without any food. He began to roam about the street of London again, and now he thought that if he could find a store dealing in theatrical goods, he could become visible again, because karon যেতিয়া তেওঁ ক্লথছ পিন্ধিছিলে সেই লণ্ডন ষ্টৰত, তেওঁৰ গোটেই গাটো became visible, but the upper part of his shoulders still remained invisible. তেতিয়া অদৃশ্য হৈ আছিল কাৰণ মুখতো একো পিন্ধিব নোৱাৰে তেওঁ So now he went to Drury Lane. Drury Lane was the center of theatrical world. মানে থিয়েটাৰৰ লগত ৰিলেটেড যিবিলাক বস্তু থাকে সেইবিলাকৰ ডিলিং তাত হয় তাত ব্যৱসায় হয় বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ দোকান আছে য'ত থিয়েটাৰৰ লগত ৰিলেটেড বস্তুবিলাক বিক্ৰী কৰা হয় So he found a suitable shop there. He went in because at the time he went in very easily because he was invisible. He went upstairs of that store and found some things for himself. He wore again coat, shoes, pants, and then he covered his mouth with a wide-brimmed hat. He wore dark glasses, and here he wore large whiskers, and he also wore a false nose. এই ধৰণে তেওঁ এইবিলাক পিন্ধি ল'লে মুখত এটা false nose ৰাবাৰৰ nose এটা দি ল'লে আৰু এই ধৰণে he became a visible person once again. Now he came downstairs very stiltily and he saw the shopkeeper and attacked him from behind. তেওঁ বাহিৰ পিছফালৰ পৰা তেওঁ attack কৰিলে and then he robbed the shopkeeper of all his money. Shopkeeper জনৰ পৰা তেওঁ গোটেইখিনি পইচা লৈ পেলাই যিখিনি পইচা আছে সেইখিনি পইচা লৈ তেওঁ গুচি গ'ল এতিয়া Griffin he became a strange looking person because he was wearing bandages in his forehead bandage পিন্ধি আছিল and his whiskers were very large so he became a very strange queer looking fellow he became তেওঁ মানে এজন বৰ অদ্ভুত ধৰণৰ দেখাত মানুহ হৈ পৰিল He thought since London was a very crowded place people may become very curious about him very easily. সোনকালে মানুহবিলাকে তেওঁৰ প্ৰতি curious হৈ যাব পাৰে and that would cause problem to him. So he thought of going to a distant village and the village was Iping. He booked tickets for Iping and he boarded a train and went to the Iping village and here he booked 2 rooms in a local inn. এখন inn বা হোটেলত তেওঁ দুটা room ভাড়া কৰি ল'লে Mrs. Hall was the owner of that inn. Mrs. Hall নামৰ এগৰাকী মানুহ আছিল সেই inn সেই হোটেলৰ মালিকনী Now Iping is a sleepy village. Arrival of a stranger in winter season was not a common thing there. গতিকে মানুহবিলাকে কোৱাকৈ আৰম্ভ কৰিলে আৰু তেওঁৰ যিটো appearance গ্ৰিফিনৰ যিটো appearance অদ্ভুত চেহাৰা যিটো আছিল হেতু দেখিও মানুহে কথা পাতিব আৰম্ভ কৰিলে মিছেছ হল যি সেই ইনটুৰ মালিকনী আছিল তেওঁ অকমান আশ্চৰ্য হৈছিল still she wanted to be friendly with Griffin but Griffin shut her off saying that he had come there to work in loneliness তেওঁ loneliness বিচাৰি বা solitary যিটো living হেতু বিচাৰি পেলাই তেওঁ তালে আহিছে এই ধৰণে কৈ পেলাই তেওঁ আৰু লগতে কৈছিল I don't want to be disturbed in my work মই মোৰ কামত ডিস্টাৰ্ব হোৱাটো নিবিচাৰো এই বুলি কৈছিলে গতিকে মিছেছ হল বৰ বেছি ফ্ৰেণ্ডলি হ'ব নোৱাৰিলে but যেহেতু তেওঁ she had received money in advance and in that time in that off season তেওঁ যেহেতু পইচা পাইছে so she let him live at her hotel or inn. Now Griffin's money soon spent off. It was stolen money. It was not a big amount of money that he had robbed. So after a few days Griffin told Mrs. Hall that he was expecting money but at that time he had no ready cash in his hand. তেওঁৰ হাতত কোনো ready cash নাই তাৰ পিছতে one morning a very strange happening occurred there. বৰ আচৰিত ঘটনা হ'ল মই অলৰেডি কৈছিলো যে Iping was a sleepy village and no kind of crime occurred there earlier. এতিয়া কি হ'ল there was an old clergyman who lived with his wife in that village. As a clergyman, as a ধৰ্মযাজক খ্ৰীষ্টিয়ান চাৰ্চৰ যিজন ধৰ্মযাজক এজন তাত আছিল one morning, very early in the morning, he woke up because he heard some sounds downstairs in his study room. Their study room so very stealthily he and his wife went downstairs. They tiptoed. And he held a poker, a rod in his hand, and he suddenly entered the study room and he shouted, "Surrender!" Surrender. But surprisingly, no one was there. He searched each and every corner of the room. Put it to nook and corner. Search korile. He was very surprised. And while he was coming downstairs, still at that time he heard the sound of coins being taken away. Coin bilak loi joar jitu sound hetu teo shunisil he muhurtot. So he was very surprised because there was no one there, and again surprisingly the housekeeping money was missing and his drawer was also open. Their table or drawer to khul khai ase aru jikhini ghor rakha paisa ase ekhiniu ter nasile. So he was very astonished. For the whole day he was saying, "A very extraordinary happening." Teo koi thakile pora haran ghotona ghotile khon mor ghorat gote din to teo koi thakile. Etia এই ঘটনাটো আসলে হৈছিল কিয় কাৰণ গ্ৰিফিন নামৰ সেই স্ট্ৰেণ্ড সাইন্টিষ্টজনে হয় কি কৰিলে তেওঁ ৰাতিপুৱাই কাপোৰ কানি খুলি পেলাই নেকেড আৰু ইনভিজিবল হৈ পেলাই তেওঁৰ ঘৰত সোমাই এই চুৰি কাৰ্যটো কৰিছিল এতিয়া later in that morning সেইদিনাখন ৰাতিপুৱাই অলপ পিছতে Mr. and Mrs. Hall woke up a bit earlier than other days তেওঁলোক অলপ আগতে সাৰ পাইছিল. And when they saw that Griffin's room, the door of Griffin's room was wide open, they were very surprised again. They were very surprised. The Griffin's room to kya khul khai ase? Because normally that door was always locked. Dwarkhon khodai locked hoye thake, and Griffin the scientist felt very disturbed. He felt very annoyed if anyone tried to enter his room. The remote to the Kumawa and annoy her, he can't lock it. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Hall, when they saw that the door was open, they were very inquisitive about Griffin. So they went there and they peeped around the door and they saw nobody there. So they were again surprised. They were Humai pelai korase khapule gol, but temke ki dekhile that the clothes which Griffin never took off, zi kapur teo ketiao ini die hebla jote jote puri ase bishona khono thanda hoy ase. It meant that he had left the bed a bit some minutes ago. Kichu khomoy agote teo bed khon eight hoy goise, and his bandages, his hat, his spectacles, all were there around everywhere in the room. They were scattered in the room. Room is scattered. So as they were looking there, suddenly they heard a sniff. Eta nakor khutkhutoni shobdo shunile temloke. Aru olop pisore ki hol jitu hat, Griffinor jitu hat bed postot asile and that dashed straight to Mrs. Hall's face. Sidhai Mrs. Hall mukhor pine goi pelai attack korile. And then Mrs. Hall was very bewildered, bor shock khai gol teo. And then the bedroom table, it became alive. Jikhon bedroom or table asile hekhon alive hoy gol. And it jumped up, jump mari uthile table khone, and it again pushed Mr. and Mrs. Hall out of the room. Mr. and Mrs. Hall thili room to pra bahi koi dile, and the door was slammed. Door kon slammed hoy gol, dangor shobdo kori bondo hoy gol. Mr. and Mrs. Hall, they were very much terrified. They were very much shocked. They were very much frightened. খুব ভয় খাই গ'ল তেওঁলোকে আৰু তেওঁলোকে মিছেছ হলে বিশেষকৈ তেওঁ ভাবিব ধৰিলে যে some evil spirit had done those things. কোনোবা আত্মাই সেই কাম কৰিছে বুলি. She began to wail. কান্দিব ধৰিলে তেওঁ. Later on, কিছু সময়ৰ পিছত মিছেছ হলৰ যিটো পাব আছিলে, যি বাৰ আছিলে, সেই বাৰত মানুহ ভিলেজ পিপলবিলাক আহিছে, তেওঁলোকে কথা পাতিবলৈ আৰম্ভ কৰিছে. And all were discussing the robbery that had occurred at the house of the clergyman. Clergymanজনৰ ঘৰত যি ডকাইতি হৈছিল, তেওঁলোকে সেইবিলাকৰ বিষয়ে ডিছকাছ কৰি আছিলে. তেনেকুৱাতে আৰু লগতে মিছেছ হলৰ ঘৰত যিটো মানে গ্ৰিফিনৰ ৰুমত যি এক্সট্ৰাঅৰ্ডিনাৰী হেপেনিং হ'ল, সেই বিষয়ে আলোচনা হৈছে. আৰু people were thinking that that Griffin, the scientist, who was a very queer fellow, had something to do with the robbery that had occurred at the clergyman's house. Because before his arrival, no such incident had occurred there earlier. Griffin অহাৰ আগলৈকে কোনো তেনেকুৱা ডকাইতি বা চুৰ তেওঁলোকৰ গাঁৱত হোৱাই নাই. চ' তেওঁলোকে ভাবিছিল যে গ্ৰিফিনৰ হয়তো কিবা নাই কিবা হাত আছে তাত. আৰু মিছেছ হল, she was very angry. She was furious because she thought that Griffin had done something to his room, to her room. Griffin had caused evil spirits enter her room. এইবুলি তেওঁ ভাবিছিলে. So when Griffin came out, when Griffin entered the bar, Mrs. Hall questioned him. What have you done to my furniture in the room? And again tell me, how have you come out and had entered a locked room? That to me, মোৰ ফাৰ্নিচাৰ কি কৰিলা? আৰু লগতে তুমি এটা লক হৈ যোৱা ৰুমৰ পৰা ওলালা কেনে? বা তাত সোমাইছিলা তুমি কেনেকৈ? কাৰণ সেই যেতিয়া মিছেছ হলহঁতক চকীখনে ঠেলি দিছে, তেতিয়া সেই দুৱাৰখন লক হৈ গৈছিলে. গতিকে তেওঁ ভাবিলে গ্ৰিফিন তাৰ ভিতৰত নাছিলেই, তেওঁ সোমালে কেনেকৈ বা এতিয়া তেওঁ ওলালে কেনেকৈ? এই প্ৰশ্নটো সোধাৰ লগে লগে কিন্তু গ্ৰিফিন, who was a very bad tempered person, he became furious. He was infuriated. খং উঠি গ'ল. খঙতে অগ্নিশৰ্মা হৈ গ'ল. বিৰাট খং উঠিলে তেওঁ. আৰু তেওঁ ক'লে, you don't know who or what I am. তুমি নাজানো কি মই কোন বা মই কি? Okay, I'll show you. মই তোমাক দেখাই আছোঁ. এই বুলি ক'বলৈ ধৰি পেলাই তেওঁ নিজৰ হেডটো পেলাই দিলে আৰু তেওঁ নিজৰ যি বেণ্ডেজ, ফৰহেডত যি কপালত যি বেণ্ডেজ আছিল সেয়া খুলিবলৈ আৰম্ভ কৰিলে. নিজৰ যি নোজ এটা আছিলে, ৰাবাৰ নোজ, সেইটো তেওঁ পেলাই দিলে, চাইড হুইস্কাৰ্ছ পেলাই দিলে. And then he became a headless person because everything above his shoulders became invisible. এই গোটেইবিলাক অদৃশ্য হৈ পৰিল. And he became a headless person, and people were looking at him out of surprise, out of the feeling of terror. খুব ভয় খাই পেলাই মানুহবিলাকে তেওঁ পিনে চাই থাকিব ধৰিলে. Now, a bit earlier, when the discussion of the robbery at the clergyman's house was on, যেতিয়া মানুহবিলাকে কথা পাতি আছিল, they had informed the village constable Mr. Jeffers তেওঁলোকে মাতি পঠিয়াইছিলে. And now Mr. Jeffers had arrived. Mr. Jeffers আহি পালে. And he saw that some disturbances were occurring there, and he also saw a headless man there. He now went forward Griffin, the headless man. Headless man জনক ধৰিবৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ আগবাঢ়ি গ'ল. And then a fight occurred between the headless man and Mr. Jeffers. Mr. Jeffers was a very dutiful person. He wanted to arrest Griffin or the headless man. যি মূৰ নথকা মানুহজন যিজন দেখিছে তেওঁক arrest কৰিব বিচাৰিছে because he was causing disturbances there. So a fight occurred, and the Griffin began to take off his clothes. তেওঁ নিজৰ ক্লথবিলাক খুলিবলৈ আৰম্ভ কৰিলে. And as he was taking off his garments, he was becoming more and more invisible. অদৃশ্য হৈ গৈ থাকিব ধৰিলে তেওঁ নিজৰ কাপোৰ খুলি আছে অদৃশ্য হৈ গৈ আছে and ultimately জেফাৰ্ছে গম পালে যে তেওঁ কাৰ লগত ফাইট কৰি আছে আচলতে এনেকুৱা এজন মানুহৰ লগত ফাইট কৰি আছে whom he couldn't see যাক তেওঁ দেখাই নাপায় so অলপ সময়ৰ পিছতে মানুহবিলাকে উচৰিব ধৰিছিলে যে তাক ধৰা বুলি কিন্তু আৰু অদৃশ্য কিছুমান খুচাই তেওঁলোকৰ মুখত পৰিব ধৰিছিল আৰু আল্টিমেটলি জাফাৰ্ছে যেহেতু তেওঁৰ শত্ৰুজনক দেখাই নাই সেই শত্ৰুজনে জাফাৰ্ছক মাৰি পেলাই আনকনচিয়াছ কৰি পেলালে আৰু অলপ সময়ৰ পিছতেই গ্ৰিফিন নামৰ সাইন্টিষ্টজনক আৰু তাত দেখা পোৱা নগ'ল so এই ধৰণৰ এক্সাইটিং আৰু কিছুমান এনেকুৱা ঘটনা দি পেলাই ফুটপ্ৰিন্টছ উইদাউট ফিট নামৰ ষ্টৰীটোৰ এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ ঘটনা কিছুমান দিয়া হৈছে ইয়াৰ পিছত কি হ'ল গ্ৰিফিনৰ কি হ'ল সেইখিনি আমাক এই ষ্টৰীটো দিয়া হোৱা নাই অৱশ্যে পিছত যদি আমি দ্য ইনভিজিবল মেন পঢ়োঁ আমি গম পাম পিছত এজন যে ৰোড ৱৰ্কাৰ এজনৰ হাততে ইনভিজিবল মেনজনক মৰা হৈছিল আৰু আফটাৰ হি ৱাজ হাৰ্ট যেতিয়া তেওঁ মাৰা হৈছিল দুখ পোৱা হৈছিল আফটাৰ দেন হি বিকেম ভিজিবল এগেইন so এজন সাইন্টিষ্ট যি নিজৰ ব্ৰিলিয়েন্সৰ দ্বাৰা এনেকুৱা এটা ঔষধ বনাব পাৰিলে যে মানুহক ইনভিজিবল কৰিব পাৰে সেই মানুহজনৰ এজন এটা ষ্টৰী দিয়া হৈছে ফুটপ্ৰিন্টছ উইদাউট ফিট নামৰ এই ষ্টৰীটো আই হোপ ভিউৱাৰ্ছ সকলে এনজয় কৰিছে এই ষ্টৰীটো যদি আপোনালোকে ভাল পাইছে প্লিজ hit the like button share the video and do subscribe our channel thank you এনে ধৰণৰ ষ্টৰীজ বিলাক আৰু আমি আগবঢ়াই থাকিম do subscribe the channel thank you once again